Have you ever poured your heart into being kind, only to be met with icy stares, whispers, or even outright hostility? It's a paradox that haunts us. Why do people sometimes hate you, even when you are nothing but good to them? Most of us assume it's simple envy. They're jealous of your success, your happiness, your good fortune. And sometimes, yes, that's absolutely true. But what if there's a deeper, more unsettling truth at play? What if the very light you shine reveals something within them that they desperately want to keep hidden? Today, we're diving into the profound and often uncomfortable insights of Carl Jung, a man who dared to explore the darkest corners of the human psyche to uncover the surprising reasons why your kindness can, paradoxically, become a trigger for hate. Jung introduced us to the profound and often unsettling concept of the shadow self, not some mystical entity, but rather the unconscious, repressed, and unacknowledged aspects of our personality. It's the psychological dark side we all possess, comprising those desires, fears, insecurities, and negative traits that we deem unacceptable, shameful, or too difficult to confront. We push them deep into our subconscious, often unaware of their persistent influence on our thoughts and behaviors. Now, here's where it gets truly fascinating, and perhaps a little counterintuitive. When you act with genuine kindness, compassion, and unwavering integrity, when you embody admirable qualities like generosity, patience, or emotional stability, you're not simply being a good person in a vacuum. Instead, you are inadvertently and powerfully holding up a mirror to their deeply hidden shadow. Your authentic light illuminates precisely those areas within them they've worked tirelessly to conceal or deny, sometimes even from themselves. This isn't about you judging them. It's about the stark contrast between your integrated self and their unintegrated, repressed aspects. When confronted, even indirectly, with these buried parts, perhaps their own unacknowledged selfishness, their deep-seated envy, their unaddressed anger, or their fear of vulnerability and true connection, the internal discomfort can be immense, even unbearable. For many, instead of undertaking the difficult work of self-reflection and integrating their own shadow, it becomes an almost instinctual protective mechanism to lash out at the perceived source of that uncomfortable illumination. They project their own internal shame and inadequacy onto you, transforming their own inner turmoil into outward resentment, criticism, or even outright hatred, because it's far easier to attack the mirror than to confront the reflection. Your generosity might highlight their stinginess, your patience, their impulsiveness, your joy, their hidden misery. Your very presence, embodying these positive qualities, can become an unwelcome catalyst. Imagine your genuine generosity might, for someone else, starkly highlight their own deep-seated stinginess or their unacknowledged fear of lack. Your unwavering patience could inadvertently expose their impulsiveness and volatile reactions, forcing an uncomfortable comparison they'd rather avoid. Your authentic joy and zest for life might painfully underscore their own hidden misery, depression, or anhedonia, revealing a void they're not ready to face. And your calm self-acceptance, rooted in a healthy ego, could painfully reflect their own profound and deep-seated insecurities, self-doubt, or the constant need for external validation. It's crucial to understand that this isn't about you actively judging them or making a conscious effort to expose their flaws. Rather, it's about their own pre-existing internal conflicts, these buried deficiencies residing within their shadow, being inadvertently brought to the surface by the contrast you provide. And confronting one's own perceived shortcomings or negative traits, especially those that have been diligently repressed and buried deep in the shadow for years, is an incredibly painful, destabilizing, and often terrifying experience. When faced with such profound discomfort, the human psyche, in its attempt to protect itself, often chooses the path of least resistance. For some, it becomes exponentially easier to project that intense discomfort outward, to deflect the internal pain by shifting the blame and directing their resentment, frustration, and even hatred towards the innocent source of that uncomfortable illumination, you. It's a defense mechanism, a tragic way to avoid true self-reflection. Beyond the shadow, There's also the complex interplay of projection and envy. Sometimes, they admire qualities in you that they wish they possessed but feel incapable of achieving. This admiration, when mixed with their own unresolved feelings of inadequacy, can fester and turn into resentment. They project their own internal frustrations onto you, seeing you not as a kind individual, but as a living embodiment of what they lack or feel they can never be. It's a defense mechanism, a way to protect their fragile ego by diminishing your value. Finally, beyond individual psychological dynamics, it's crucial to consider the broader societal or group dimension where your kindness can become a disruptive force. Sometimes, your very presence and consistent acts of compassion and positivity inadvertently challenge an established social hierarchy, a group's unspoken negative norms, or even the comfortable, albeit unhealthy, equilibrium they've settled into. Imagine a cynical workplace where complaining is a bonding activity, or a social circle where negativity is a shared language. If you're consistently positive, uplifting, and genuinely kind in such an environment, you might not be seen as a beacon of light, but rather as an anomaly, an irritant. You could be perceived as naive, too good to be true, or more significantly, as a direct threat to the very fabric of the comfortable negativity that binds them together. In such scenarios, you can tragically become the scapegoat for their collective discomfort. Your unwavering optimism highlights their resignation. Your ethical behavior exposes their compromise. Your emotional maturity underscores their immaturity. By simply being yourself, you inadvertently expose the lie in their shared cynicism or the unspoken agreement to remain stagnant. This forces them as a group to confront a reality they'd rather ignore, that there is another way, that their negativity isn't universally valid, or that their collective grievances might not be entirely justified. And for daring to shine a light on these uncomfortable truths, for implicitly challenging their deeply ingrained status quo and forcing a collective introspection they're unwilling to undertake, they may very well turn against you, seeking to neutralize the discomfort by marginalizing, criticizing, or outright hating the one who dares to disrupt their stagnant peace. So, what does this mean for you? It means that sometimes, the hate you receive isn't about you at all. It's about them. It's about their unresolved inner conflicts, their unacknowledged shadows, their insecurities, and their fear of confronting their own truth. This understanding is not an excuse for their behavior, but it is an immense source of liberation for you. Continue to be kind. Continue to shine your light. Because in a world that often grapples with its own darkness, your genuine good is more vital than ever. So, what does this profound understanding of the human psyche, and specifically of the shadow, mean for you? It means that sometimes the unprovoked criticism, the icy stares, or even the outright hostility you receive has very little, if anything, to do with your character or your actions. Instead, it's a reflection of their unresolved inner conflicts, their unacknowledged shadows, their deep-seated insecurities, and their fundamental fear of confronting their own truth. This realization is not an excuse for their behavior, nor does it condone it in any way. However, it is an immense source of liberation for you. It frees you from the burden of self-blame, from constantly questioning your worth, and from shrinking your authentic self to appease others. Therefore, I urge you, continue to be kind. Continue to shine your unique and brilliant light into the world. Because in a landscape that often grapples with its own pervasive darkness, where cynicism and negativity can easily take root, your genuine good, your integrity, and your compassion are not just admirable, they are more vital and necessary than ever before. Don't for a moment let the discomfort, the projections, or the unintegrated shadows of others dim your inner brilliance. Instead, stand firm in your authenticity. Understand with profound clarity that your kindness is not a weakness, but an incredibly powerful force, a beacon that, even when met with resistance, is simply offering an undeniable truth. And sometimes, paradoxically, the most challenging negative reactions it elicits are not a sign of your failure, but rather the most potent and undeniable proof of its profound transformative impact on the world around you. What are your experiences with this paradox? Have you ever felt targeted for your kindness? Share your stories in the comments below. And if this video resonated with you, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into the human psyche, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next exploration.